I knew something was wrong the night she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. Not perfume. Not shampoo from the gym showers. Men's cologne. Warm, woody, expensive. It hit me when she leaned over to kiss my cheek while tossing her gym bag onto the kitchen floor like everything was normal. And the worst part is, I still kissed her back. We'd been married 11 years. 2 kids. Mortgage. Shared bank account. Shared calendar. Shared exhaustion. The kind of marriage that stopped being passionate years ago but still felt safe. Predictable. Stable. At least I thought it was. Claire started going to the gym around January. Said she wanted to feel like herself again. I supported it completely. I even rearranged my work schedule twice a week so I could pick up the kids from soccer practice. At first, I was proud of her. She seemed happier. More confident. Buying new leggings, doing her hair more often, taking selfies she claimed were progress pictures. I didn't notice how often she smiled at her phone. Or maybe I noticed and chose not to care. Because when you've built an entire life with someone, your brain protects you from seeing things you don't want to see. The gym became her entire personality within a couple months. Protein shakes filled the fridge. She started waking up at 5 a.m. for cardio. She followed fitness influencers and talked nonstop about discipline and self-improvement. Meanwhile, I was drowning at work. I manage a small logistics company, and spring was brutal that year. Long hours. Constant stress. I gained weight while she lost it. I stopped shaving regularly. She started wearing matching workout sets that probably cost more than my shoes. Still, I trusted her completely. That's the embarrassing part. My friends made jokes sometimes. Careful, man. Gym people always cheat. I laughed it off because Claire wasn't like that. She was awkward, introverted, loyal. Or at least the version I married was. The late nights started slowly. I'm staying for yoga after weights. Sarah wants to grab smoothies. The trainer's helping me with my form. Always believable. Always casual. Then came the small lies. One night she said the gym closed early because of plumbing problems. 2 days later I casually mentioned it to another parent whose wife went there too. He looked confused. The gym never closed. I remember forcing a laugh like it was nothing. But that was the first crack. The first tiny moment where my stomach tightened for reasons I couldn't explain. After that, I started noticing everything. The way she angled her phone away from me. How she suddenly changed her password after years of us knowing each other's codes. The way she smiled at texts and then immediately looked guilty afterward. One night we were watching TV when her phone buzzed on the couch beside me. A message preview popped up. Can't stop thinking about your legs around me today. No name. Just a number. My entire body went cold. She snatched the phone so fast it almost flew out of my hands. Who was that? I asked. Her face changed instantly. Defensive. Angry. Why are you looking at my messages? That's when I knew. People who have nothing to hide don't react like that. I asked again, calmer this time. She rolled her eyes and said it was one of the women from the gym making a joke about spin class. And unbelievably, I accepted it. Not because I believed her. Because I was terrified of what happened if I didn't. That night I barely slept. She curled against me in bed like always while I stared at the ceiling, feeling this horrible split inside me. Half of me wanted to check her phone. The other half didn't want confirmation. Because suspicion hurts. But certainty destroys you. I became obsessed without meaning to. I checked the gym's Instagram page to see if she appeared in group photos. I memorized her schedule. I started noticing how long she took to answer texts when she claimed she was working out. I hated myself for it. I'd never been the jealous husband type. But betrayal changes your brain before you even confirm it's happening. One Saturday morning, she left for the gym wearing makeup. Not light makeup. Full makeup. Mascara. Lip gloss. Perfume. I joked. Pretty serious workout today? She snapped immediately. God, do I need your permission to look nice now? That argument lasted 3 hours. By the end of it, I was apologizing. I apologized for making her feel judged. Looking back, I think she needed me to become the villain somehow. It made what she was doing easier. A week later, I tried initiating sex for the first time in months. She turned me down gently at first. Then coldly. Then irritated. I'm tired. But she wasn't tired. She was somewhere else emotionally. Maybe physically too. I remember lying beside her afterward, staring into darkness, realizing my own wife felt farther away than strangers I passed in grocery stores. And deep down, I think I already knew how this story ended. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. The actual moment everything shattered was stupidly ordinary. Tuesday night. Rainy. I had just finished cleaning up dinner while the kids argued upstairs over a video game. Claire texted me around 7:40. Running late at the gym. Don't wait up. Normally that would have been it. But something in me snapped. No dramatic reason. No evidence. Just exhaustion from carrying suspicion around every day. So I got in my car. I told myself I was being irrational the entire drive there. I even rehearsed apologizing to her for doubting her. The gym parking lot was half empty because it was late. Her car was there. I parked across the street feeling ridiculous. Then I saw them. Through the giant front windows near the stretching area. Claire was sitting on a bench laughing while a guy stood between her knees. His hands were on her waist. Not friendly. Not casual. Intimate. Familiar. Like he had touched her 1,000 times before. Then she kissed him. Quick. Natural. Easy. Like kissing him was part of her routine now. I can still picture every detail. The fluorescent lights. Her hand on his neck. The stupid neon sign behind them advertising personal training packages. My chest physically hurt. Like actual pain. Like someone shoved something sharp under my ribs. And the horrifying thing? She looked happy. Happier than she looked with me in years that I don't remember walking into the gym. 1 second I was outside in the rain shaking so hard I could barely breathe. The next second I was standing in front of them. Claire's face strained of color instantly. The guy stepped back like he touched fire. Nobody spoke for maybe 3 seconds, but it felt endless. Finally I said, "Are you serious?" My voice sounded strange. Flat. Detached. Claire stood up too fast. "Wait. That's what this is. The gym?" The guy muttered something about leaving. I turned to him and said, "You should." And he did. Immediately. Coward. Claire started crying almost instantly. Not dramatic sobbing. Just silent tears pouring down her face. "I was going to tell you." That sentence nearly made me laugh. Because cheaters always say that after they get caught. I asked how long. She hesitated. That hesitation hurt more than the answer. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of me making dinners while she slept with someone else after cardio. I remember looking around the gym while people awkwardly avoided eye contact. I felt humiliated. Publicly dismantled. Then she said the sentence I still hear in my nightmares sometimes. "I didn't mean for it to happen." Like affairs or weather accidents. Like she slipped and landed on another man repeatedly for 6 months. The drive home was worse than the discovery. She followed me in her car because apparently we still had to pretend to be parents despite our marriage exploding an hour earlier. When we got home, the kids were asleep. And then the real fight started. Not movie-style screaming. Something uglier. Quiet honesty. I asked everything. Who was he? How did it start? Did they sleep together? Did she love him? That last question broke her. She covered her face and cried so hard she couldn't answer immediately. Which was answer enough. His name was Daniel. Personal trainer. Divorced. 42. Apparently he understood her. Apparently he made her feel seen. You know what's funny? I had spent years working overtime specifically so she wouldn't have to stress about money. I missed vacations, birthdays, dinners, sleep. And somehow the final result was another man getting the version of her I sacrificed myself to protect. She admitted they'd been having sex for 4 months. Hotels mostly. Sometimes his apartment. Once in our car. I actually threw up after hearing that. Physically threw up into the kitchen sink while she cried behind me. That was the moment something inside me detached permanently. Not anger. Not sadness. Just collapse. Like my brain couldn't carry the weight anymore. The next morning was surreal. The kids were eating cereal while Claire and I sat across from each other looking like two strangers trapped in someone else's house. Our daughter asked why Mommy's eyes were red. Claire said allergies. I almost laughed again. The lies had become automatic for her. After the kids left for school, we talked for 6 straight hours. Or maybe, talked, is the wrong word. She confessed. I disintegrated. Apparently it started innocently. Of course it did. Daniel complimented her progress at the gym. Then conversations. Then coffee after workouts. Then emotional intimacy. She told him things she stopped telling me years ago. About feeling invisible. About aging. About feeling lonely despite being married. And here's the complicated part one hate admitting. I understood some of it. I had checked out emotionally for years without realizing it. I was present physically but mentally exhausted all the time. But understanding neglect doesn't erase betrayal. She blamed herself constantly while also somehow defending the affair. I didn't plan this. I still love you. I never wanted to hurt you. Every sentence contradicted the previous one. I asked if she would have left me eventually. She whispered, I don't know. That answer hurt more than if she'd said yes. I told my brother first. Big mistake. Within 48 hours, both our families knew. And suddenly our private devastation became public entertainment. My mother hated Claire instantly after that. Called her disgusting. Said she destroyed our children's lives. Claire's sister defended her, and blamed me for being emotionally unavailable. People chose teams like we were characters in a TV show. Meanwhile, I could barely function. I stopped eating properly. Lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Started waking up at 3 a.m. every night replaying images in my head. Her kissing him. Her touching him. Her lying to me while I packed school lunches. The mental movies never stopped. Claire ended the affair immediately after I caught them. At least that's what she claimed. She blocked his number in front of me. Deleted social media. Quit the gym entirely. But trust doesn't magically regenerate because someone cries enough. One night I asked to see her phone. She handed it over immediately. And somehow that hurt too. Because 6 weeks earlier she guarded it like a state secret. I found nothing. No evidence. No messages. But absence of proof isn't healing. Once your brain accepts betrayal, paranoia becomes permanent. Every silence feels suspicious. Every delayed text feels dangerous. Every smile feels potentially faked out. We tried therapy. God, we really tried. Weekly sessions in this tiny office with soft lighting and tissues strategically placed everywhere. The therapist asked Claire why she cheated. Claire cried. I stared at the floor. Over time, patterns emerged that made me sick. Claire said she felt like she disappeared into motherhood and routine. Daniel made her feel attractive again. Wanted. Desired. The therapist asked me how I contributed to emotional distance in the marriage. And honestly, I had answers. I worked constantly. I stopped listening carefully. I treated stability like it was the same thing as intimacy. But every time I accepted responsibility for our problems, something ugly happened inside me. Because none of my failures included sleeping with another woman. That distinction mattered. Claire became desperate to save the marriage after exposure. almost frantic. Love notes. Random hugs. Sex constantly. It felt less like love and more like panic. Like she suddenly realized fantasy collapses when reality arrives. One therapy session, the counselor asked if I still loved her. I answered too quickly. Yes. And that was true. Which made everything infinitely worse. Because betrayal would have been easier if I stopped loving her immediately. Instead, I loved her and hated her simultaneously. I don't recommend that combination to anyone. About 4 months after I caught them, I made a mistake. I contacted Daniel. Not physically. Just a phone call. Claire begged me not to beforehand. Which only made me more determined. He answered calmly, like he'd been expecting it eventually. I asked him one question first. Did you love my wife? Long silence. Then he said, yes. That word ruined my entire week. Because affairs are easier to process when you imagine shallow lust. Cheap sex. Midlife stupidity. Love complicated everything. Daniel claimed Claire talked constantly about leaving me but could never go through with it because of the kids. He also said something that still haunts me. She looked miserable long before I met her. Maybe he said it to justify himself. Maybe it was true. Probably both. At one point I asked if he felt guilty. He laughed softly. Not mockingly. Sadly. She wasn't exactly hard to fall for. I hung up after that. Then sat in my car for almost an hour feeling completely erased as a husband. Because another man knew intimate details about my wife's body, fears, dreams, routines. He had occupied spaces inside her life that used to belong exclusively to me. That realization changes you permanently. It's like grieving someone who's still alive and sitting across the dinner table from you every night. The kids eventually sensed something was wrong no matter how hard we tried hiding it. Children always know. Our son started asking why Mom and Dad never laughed together anymore. Our daughter became clingy overnight. One evening she asked if we were getting divorced because her friend's parents stopped sleeping in the same room before separating too. That conversation destroyed Claire completely. She locked herself in the bathroom afterward sobbing. And despite everything, I still wanted to comfort her. That's the twisted part nobody talks about. Even after betrayal, your instincts toward the person remain. You still notice when they're cold. Still know how they take their coffee. Still worry when they cry. But love becomes contaminated. Every affectionate moment carries infection underneath it. I developed anxiety after the affair. Actual diagnosed anxiety. Panic attacks at work. Chest tightness. Constant hypervigilance. I started checking parking lots unconsciously whenever Claire said where she was going. Not because I wanted to. Because my nervous system stopped believing safety existed. One night she reached for my hand while we watched TV. And I flinched. Not dramatically. Just instinctively. Her face collapsed immediately after. I'll never forget that expression. That was the first time I think she fully understood the damage. Not to our marriage. To me. A year later, we separated temporarily. Ironically, not because of another affair. Because of exhaustion. Trying to rebuild trust felt like carrying water uphill with bare hands. Every conversation somehow circled back to betrayal eventually. If she smiled at a text, I noticed. If she came home 15 minutes late, my stomach dropped instantly. Neither of us could breathe inside the marriage anymore. She rented a small apartment across town. The first night alone in our house felt horrifying. No sounds downstairs. No shower running. No perfume in the bathroom. Just silence. I thought separation would make me feel freer. Instead, I felt amputated. That's when grief really hit me. Not just grief for the affair. Grief for the version of our life I thought was real. Because once deception enters memory, it rewrites the past too. You start questioning old vacations. Old arguments. Old late nights. Everything becomes contaminated retroactively. Claire and I kept talking during separation though. Mostly about the kids. Sometimes about us. She admitted she still loved me. I admitted I didn't know how to trust her again. Both things were true simultaneously. One night she said, "I wish I could undo all of it." And for the first time, I believed she meant it. But regret is powerless against memory. That's the cruelest part. We never officially divorced. People find that disappointing sometimes. They want clean endings. Villains punished. Heroes healed. Real life is messy. Claire moved back home after 6 months apart. Slowly. Carefully. Different bedroom at first. Then occasional dinners together. Then family movie nights. Now, I honestly don't know what to call our relationship. We function. We parent. We laugh occasionally. Sometimes we even feel close again. But something fundamental never returned. I used to look at her and feel certainty. Now I look at her and feel calculation. Assessment. Risk. That innocence is gone forever. She still apologizes sometimes out of nowhere. In grocery stores. In bed. During quiet drives. Like guilt leaks out unexpectedly. And I usually nod because I genuinely don't know what else to do anymore. Friends think we survived it. I'm not sure that's accurate. I think we adapted to the wound instead. There's a difference. Some scars close cleanly. Others stay tender forever beneath the surface. The strangest thing is that Claire became more emotionally open after the affair than she ever was before it. Which sounds almost insulting considering the cost. Like our marriage had to explode before honesty finally entered it. I still don't know whether that makes the tragedy worse or not. It's been 3 years now since I saw my wife kissing another man through those gym windows. And I still think about it almost every day. Not constantly anymore. But quietly. Like background noise my brain learned to live beside. Sometimes Claire catches me staring at nothing and she knows exactly where I went mentally. Neither of us says it out loud. Certain images don't need language after enough time. If anyone reading this expects advice, I honestly don't have much. Cheating doesn't happen in a vacuum, but it also doesn't magically become understandable because a marriage had problems. Both things can exist together. I've learned that love alone is not protection. History isn't protection either. Neither are children, routines, mortgages, or shared grief. People can betray you while still loving you. That realization changed how I see literally everyone. Including myself. Sometimes I wonder if I should have left permanently. Sometimes I'm grateful I stayed. Most days I genuinely don't know. But I do know this. The moment you start feeling crazy for noticing red flags, pay attention to that feeling. Your body recognizes betrayal long before your heart is ready to admit it.